Hello everyone, welcome to the workshop. Today we'll be learning about personal branding, what it means, why is it important, what it means for you, and to get you thinking about your personal brands, we'll have some activities that'll help you do that. So how do you describe the following people in one word? Elon Musk.
A businessman and a tech giant.
A tech giant, wonderful.
Innovation.
Innovation, absolutely.
A risk taker.
A risk taker, which is great because he's the one who's risked lots of new businesses, including some successful and some unsuccessful ones.
Someone who pushes the boundaries.
Pushing boundaries, absolutely. So Elon Musk is a very interesting person who used to be looked at as a failure, and today we look at him as a success and how he's worked on his personal brands through his actions, through his business. His first rocket launch and the second one was a failure, and even the third one had a critical failure in its launch. However, he's the man we see today who's going to probably take us to Mars or take humanity to Mars, and also the person behind the success of electric cars that have been existing for almost over a few decades, but he's the one who got it into implementation, and that's he brings the words that you bring to when we look at him. It is innovation, pushing boundaries, and a risk taker. So he comes with those very, very strong traits. Second example, Mahatma Gandhi.
Promotes peace.
Promotes peace, yes.
Non-violence.
Non-violence, yes.
Philosophical.
Philosophical, yes. He has very strong philosophies of life. Okay, so Mahatma Gandhi comes with a strong set of values. So personal brand, from his example, we see that it's not just your business and your main job. It is also your philosophy and your value that can lead to certain actions. For example, he's the leader that led India into freedom and gave birth to the world's largest democracy in 1947. So he comes with values like empathy, peace, and non-violence, like things you've just mentioned. Queen Elizabeth.
A life of service.
Service is a strong word, yes.
Leader.
A leader, yes, a very strong woman leader.
I think she has values of duty.
Values of duty. And Queen Elizabeth comes with duty, tradition. She's worked hard to evolve her brand over the years that she's been the Queen and a part of the royal family. And she's partly also responsible for the image and the role that the royal family plays in the British and the world society. So that comes, she's the person who holds that brand within herself. One last example, definitely not the least, Michelle Obama.
I would say she's like inspirational for younger generation.
Inspiration, yes, I do feel a sense of hope and inspiration every time I see her image.
I'd say she's really inspired a young generation of voters, and just voters from people that normally wouldn't want to have their voices or didn't realize how powerful their voices are.
Absolutely, and she is a strong advocate for your true voice and the female voice in particular, and it inspires the young generation who feel that they have emotions to release and ideas to say out, or they have been shut down by traditions or old values. Absolutely. Any other? So she's the first Black woman as a first lady, and she had a very strong responsibility, and that came with her very extreme hard work to build a personal brand around not just being a wife, but also being known for education and health, with all her charity work that she's been doing whilst during her time in the White House. So the intention of this activity is to give you an idea about how personal brands of some renowned individuals exist, and how just looking at the images, we know what they stand for. So what is personal branding? It is an interaction of perception of basically how others see you and reality of how you see yourself. A way of selling or marketing yourself, and the best way to ensure people around you perceive you as the person who you want to be and the person who you are. It's basically anything and everything you. It's all about you, and that's what we want in today's workshop, for you to discover yourself, understand yourself, and know what you want to get you to thinking about know what you want to be known for in the future. Here's an example of a personal brand. In my personal self, I've put down some values, my passion and interest. And for example, my passions include, I love how technology changes life. I'm very passionate about sustainable transformation and diversity of thought and product development. My personal values include growth mindset, compassion, empathy, and enthusiasm. And my interests are reading, running, hiking. So from your personal brand, you have to keep in mind that it is you who you bring forward, your values, your passions, your interest, who you are as a person, what is important to you, and and the main idea of this workshop is to help you portray that to people around you. We're going to watch a quick video about personal branding.
Personal branding is very important. Companies and businesses spend millions on ensuring that their branding is accurate to how they want to represent themselves. Making sure that the image is right, the message is clear, and it's appealing to the right audience. Now replace this idea, and instead of the business's brand, what about your personal brand? How much time and effort do you spend on your personal branding? Do you even know what your personal branding is? You've got one even though you've never thought about it, and it might be doing you more harm than good. Personal branding allows you to look at yourself from different perspectives. From your perspective, you may think that you have everything you need to get into the job market. However, if you change that perspective, no one will even know you're there. It is important that the right people can see the right thing about you. Let's look at all the things that a business uses to improve their personal brand. Let's say we have a business that produces a product. To improve our brand, we need to look at a few things. One of them being the product features. What is unique about this product that sets it apart from everything else? What is the appeal of our product? Next, we look at the target audience. Who will be buying this product and why? What age range and demographic? Now, what we have to do is emphasize on the product features that will appeal to the target audience. We could do this in a lot of ways. For example, by picking the right logo, by making press releases, and advertising campaigns. Once we've done this, we know the right product features is appealing to the right demographic. This then draws attraction to our product. We get lots of sales, and we live on a nice beach house somewhere. But let's go back. Let's take all of this and imagine that product is you. Now we have a look at your product features. What makes you unique? What specific skills, experiences and specialisms do you have? What are your personal qualities, your interests? All of these are features that make you unique and special. Your target audience will be people in your career area that potentially could employ you. It's also anyone that could help you get in contact with potential employers. Now, like every business, we need to link your product features to your target audience. What key features are you going to emphasize? What are your marketing outputs? Outputs such as your CV, your Facebook profile, what you wear, your body language, what you say and how you say it all communicate your personal brand. You can control your brand, and it's important to get it right. Many people are competing for the same job as you, but when you get it right, you might not get that beach house we talked about, but it will land you a job. The rest of the course takes.
So hopefully that video gave you a brief idea about what personal brand is, why it is important, and some key features about it. So getting to know yourself better, and through this exercise, I would like you to think about your personality, your passions, and your interest. Please take 5 minutes to think about the emojis that define you. Well, a few minutes, as long as you need. If you're watching the video online, you can pause and take as long as you like. Please share five emojis in the chat and see what represents you the most. You can also say it out loud if you feel like you want to pick something up from the screen. I know Teams also gives a feature of sending GIFs, so it's also appropriate to send appropriate GIFs that you relate to, even if it is a panda rolling down the mountain. That would definitely be me. Oh, we have our first response. I see Pauline is geeky. She's curious. I don't know what the third emoji represents, Pauline. Do you want to tell us?
Yeah, sure. So
Yeah, I think I'm quite nerdy. I like reading a lot of stuff and just knowing a bit about everything. I am very curious. I always have an analytical mindset in that I'm digging to see what more I can find out. The third emoji is like a man bowing down. I couldn't find a lady, but that just shows I have a lot of respect for other people's opinion. I value everyone's opinion equally. For the people who know me well, I do like to laugh or make jokes very often. And the last one is like a ninja emoji because I like martial arts, so I just put it there as well.
Amazing. And you're also a great boxer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So everybody be careful of Pauline. You see her coming around. And those are some very, very strong values and passions and, you know, a personality that's come out of it. So thank you for that, Pauline. Panache, can I get you to speak about your set as well? Cute penguin there.
So I think like the penguin is more like I don't know, I don't like to take things too seriously. I like to be kind of like I like to go with the flow, but have a structure to my flow, but go with the flow nonetheless.
Yes.
I would say the love heart is I like to make people around me to know that they have some form of support. I like to help people. I like people around me to know that they're like loved, and I think that's probably because of like my faith. That's very, very important to me, and a part of I guess like what my faith is revolves around is making people, you know, realize that, you know, they're loved and cared for. And then laughing, I do too like to laugh. I love laughing. And at random points in the day, I'll just, you know, just giggle. I just think laughter keeps you young and keeps you healthy. I'm already young anyway, but I just feel like it keeps you healthy.
Nice.
And then reading, I love I love reading. I love not only just reading, but I like just finding things out. Like I like just like sitting with people, learning about what they do, what they like doing. And I think like, yeah, that's kind of what that emoji kind of stands for me.
Absolutely.
And also I would like to like live the rest of my life learning stuff, regardless of what it is. I want to always learn because I don't feel like there's ever a time in your life where you're like, oh, I've learned too much.
Which is a very, very key value, yes, that you bring across and, you know, acts in your workplace as well. So absolutely.
And then gifts, another part that's probably related to my faith. I like giving people whatever I can. It doesn't have to be anything that I guess like is valued particularly in society, but even just like my time, I like to give whatever I can to other people.
Amazing. And you know, I can assure that with the heart and your faith, how you bring it to your workplace as well. You're so kind, you're so passionate, and every time I've spoken to you, according to any work or personal, you've made me feel very comfortable. So I see how you bring that into your workplace as well. So that's a very strong values there.
Oh, Sanya, you're too kind.
It's the truth. And Manjusha, my little monkey. It's got a little monkey there.
Yeah, so I got the monkey and the laughing emoji because I kind of like, I don't like to take things seriously. I like to look at things in a positive perspective and just, you know, go with the flow. I also have the nerd emoji because I'm a big geek. I love learning. I love to find out new things and just have loads of different hobbies. And the other two is I love music. I actually play the keyboard, so it's something I actually like doing. And the coffee, well, it's supposed to be hot chocolate. I love hot chocolate.
You love hot chocolate. Yep, that can be a part of your personal brand, and that is perfectly acceptable. Perfect. No, thank you for that, Manjusha. You are a nerd. I can assure that. I've worked with you in the past, but you also bring a lot of happiness to the team. So, thank you for that. Ash, you have a little very cute GIF, and I'm trying to read what it says.
It says, "Oh, math, I have missed you."
Oh.
I think that's a good representation of, I guess, my nerdy side and my curious side, but also a little bit of my dramatic side. And with that, I put the emojis heart emoji, which is just being loving, caring, and kind to everyone around you. There is the plant emoji, more like a flower, which I'm very passionate about the environment and sustainability and leading sustainable lifestyle. That contributes largely to my personal brand. And then I put cake for a little bit of fun because cake's great. So yeah.
And you're also a great baker, am I correct in saying that?
I don't know, you'll have to tell me. It's been a while since you've had one.
You're a fantastic baker, so you have patience and attention to detail and things that come along with it.
Yeah, if we go deep, yeah.
And it is delicious. Most important out of all. And Chirag, last but not the least, starts with crazy emoji. So are you saying you're a crazy person?
No. I put that one because I enjoy, I don't know, being social, having fun. It's sort of related to the last one, which is I like to laugh and, as I say, have fun. The second one is the dollar sign because I'm interested in finance and that type of thing. And it sort of relates to the next one, which is being nerdy, which is a definite, I think. And then the other last one is the sun, because I come from a very warm place, as my background suggests, and I don't know, something that I've grown up with. So
yeah, you bring that with you.
Yeah.
And a laughing space because you're always laughing.
Sort of.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for that. So at least we've started to think about some key values that we have and our personality and who we are. Hopefully you found it fun. Right. In the next three slides, we're going to talk about some golden tips that will help you think about how to develop your personal brand and can act as some guidelines. And the first one is discovering yourself. In this activity, I'd like it to be as interactive as possible. And I want you to come up with ideas and what you think about yourself. We have already initiated a little bit of it, but going into more details. So the first step is discovering yourself, is to figure out who you are, what you want to be known for, and basically what is your motivation, what gives you energy, your interests, your passions and values, a little bit of which we've already covered, and what do you want to be known for in 5 years. So if I can get 2 volunteers to tell me what they, who they are and what they want to be known for in 5 years, not limited to 2, but at least 2. You can have some time to think about it. It's okay. I can't see your expressions right now. If you prefer, you can also type it in the chat window. I'll start by giving some ideas. For example, what gives you energy? People give me energy. So it's very important for me to be around a supportive team, be around people who are my friends, who at least I consider as my friends, and that is very, very, very key for me, and that's who I am. I'm a people's person. So in any environment where I've seen myself do a good job and be happy whilst I'm working is around people, and that's something very key for me. What do I want to be known after 5 years? Oh, that's a difficult one. I'm asking you some difficult questions. I want to be a technical problem solver, if I look at it from a very top level perspective. But I want to be known as the person who creates change for good. So even if it doesn't have to be changing the world, but small steps, small changes, bringing fresh ideas. I want to be known as the person who, you can go to if you want new ideas or you want to bounce off ideas, and to create a safe space to come up with innovation.
Okay, I can go next.
Amazing. Thank you, Ash.
So in terms of motivation, what motivates me is small wins and just having the ability to keep the momentum going. So just being able to see tangible change happening and knowing that I contributed to that. And what gives me energy is, on a day-to-day basis, it's knocking things off my to-do list. But in the long term, it's also knowing that what I worked on contributed to a change in either a system or a process. And in 5 years, I want to be known for having some sort of influence and improving a process, a system, or a design, which will ultimately help people lead better lives in whatever capacity that may be and in whatever industry that may be. I want to be known for having contributed to something and going home with that knowledge that I've contributed to the world and my mark is out there. So, yeah.
That's the very, very strong values also that come along with it that you've mentioned. So thank you for that, Ash, and I have no doubts you would do that.
Thanks, Anya.
I can go next. So I think my motivation would be new learning tasks. So if I get something new to do, I can learn from. I think that's something that I kind of do research on and just learn and just move forward and try and grow myself knowledge-wise. And in 5 years' time, I would like to be known for someone who helps. I think since my parents are nurses, it's something that I've been grown up with, helping people. So that's what I would like to be known for.
Amazing. Thank you. You do help me a lot, so I can show you that that you've already achieving that. Would anybody like to go, or we have plenty of opportunity in the next slides as well? Okay. So now that you've had a chance to think about who you are as a person, what gives you energy, what are your passions, interests, and values, and what kind of you'd want to be known for. What image do you want to have 5 years from now? I'd like you to help define your audience. So who is your audience? When you build your personal brand, you're building your personal brand for someone. Yes, it is for everyone around you, but sometimes you have to tailor your brand for someone who is in a specific scenario. For example, maybe in an interview, in a webinar, in a university, not every time your audience is going to be the same. So sometimes it can be seniors within a company. Sometimes it can be people watching YouTube behind the screen. Sometimes it can be students, or it can be anyone in a cafeteria. So I want you to think about who your audience will be. And how you can bring your personal brand is also by researching your audience. So, finding out what skills they're looking for. Are their values the same as yours? Especially in a company when you're applying for a job, most companies have a set of values that they live by. Do they align with yours? In GE, I know our values are act with humility, lead with transparency, So there's the very, very, very strong values there. And when I applied for the job here, I knew my values aligned with theirs, and hence why I love working here. So any ideas of, if you can think about an audience, give me an example of a situation where you defined your audience and you researched into it. For example, it was for me to apply to the job to get into GE. Can you give another example from your experience? How knowing your audience helped you in a situation?
I think for me, at university, something that can you guys hear me?
Yeah, when applying for jobs, for example, I think what was important was to portray certain skills that make you more employable, so which is very different from applying to university.
You cut off there a little bit, Ash, but what I got from you was it's very different from applying to university.
Sorry, go ahead. My internet just being a bit dodgy.
No. Go, say what, if you can complete what you were saying. So from what I got from what you said is when you apply for an interview, you have to look at the skills that your employer is looking for. But in a university, correct? I think we lost Ash there for a bit, but maybe if you can type it in the chat, I can pick it up from there, Ash. And Panashi, you can go ahead with what you were saying as well.
I was just saying that at university, when I was picking my final year project for my dissertation, one thing that I had to do some research on is the type of supervisors that were that I could align myself with, and it was very, very important to me that they were doing projects and working on research that aligned with some of my values and things that I wanted to do in the future. So one thing that I'm very passionate about is trying to close the poverty gap and the wealth gap. I'm so sorry, the ice cream van is just one thing that I'm very passionate about is trying to close the poverty gap and the wealth gap that we have in different countries, even in developing countries. And it was very important to me that I was going to be doing a dissertation with someone who was trying to close that gap. So I had to do some research on that and to find the type of person who would be my audience that I would want to do that work with.
That's a very different example and a great way how you went. Dissertation is such a big part of your university, and that's absolutely a fantastic example. Thank you for sharing that. Anyone else? Maybe in a, you've applied to a society, or you've started a society, or you've been in a voluntary group, or where you have to portray yourself, or even if it is another kind of an interview, which is not just a technical job interview, or give an example of a situation where you've portrayed yourself into different parts of yourself.
I do some community work, like community outreach, and because it's a passion, just service to the community. And before, when I moved to work here, I had to check out my audience in that what kind of charities I wanted to volunteer with, what was the charity for, what do they stand for before signing up to volunteer with the ones I signed up to. So I guess it's not linked to a job or joining a school, but still in some way I had to look at my audience and see what most aligned to what I wanted to do. Absolutely.
And do you think that helped you continue your service and find more fulfillment from it now that you researched your audience? And
Yeah, because I ended up volunteering in something I believed in as well. So yeah, it definitely helped.
Amazing. Thank you for sharing that, and well done for all the great work you've been doing on the side. Ash just posted on the chat saying that applying for jobs, I had to showcase the side that I had leadership, teamwork skills. I highlighted a different side that was still a part of my personal brand, but more suited for the interviews. So, we have so many different values, we act differently in different audiences, how we act with our family, how we act with our friends, how we act with our colleagues is different. So I think what she's trying to bring out here is I had to bring these parts of my personality into a job interview, which, maybe when she's around in a family setting, she may not bring those parts enough of her personality, but does not mean they're not dominant parts of her. So thank you for sharing that, Ash. Another more things to think about is after you've defined your audience and who they are, what they're looking for, is making the most of your network. So embracing your network, first think about who is in your network and how you can expand it. Ask for recommendations, speak to people who've already walked your path, and take feedback from parents, guardians, teachers, employers, and grow your online professional presence. So whether it's on LinkedIn, through CV, through covering letter. So if you have anything to add in this, and how give an example of a situation where networking has helped you, and how you have expanded your network, and what is the importance of LinkedIn and your CV. So if you can give some examples to see in a situations where it has helped you, please take a few minutes to think about it. In my personal example, for example, how I embraced networking was I've always been passionate about sustainability. And that's been a core value for me since university. Once I've understood the impact of sustainability, and as an engineer, what responsibility we hold in our hands. So, when I came into the workplace, I saw an email floating around about, GE's future sustainable goals. And I just replied back to that email saying, I'd like to know more about it, and know more work you're doing. And that actually came from GE Renewable Energy in the US. And that network with that one person led me into, or reaching out to that one person led me into an entire network of something called green teams, which I didn't know existed. And through those green teams, I'm not just connected with people in the US who are actually doing some sustainable work, but also all the passionate people around our site here in Cheltenham, and the kind of work that's already being done, which I would have not found out if it wasn't for green teams. And that one email that I sent, or and opened a whole set of new opportunities for me. And I've been involved in more sustainable work, and it's opened a whole world of new opportunities. So that is the power of network. And how LinkedIn helped me was whenever I was in a meeting with someone, people I've never seen before, especially now that we are living in a virtual world, I would check them out on LinkedIn, like a little bit of stalk. When you stalk them, they get a little notification that they've seen you. It's a great way to make a connection, and for them to know that, your name to stick in their heads and their name to stick in your heads, and have a little bit of background about you. So when they speak to you, they know you have a passion about sustainability. This is the job you do. This is the kind of values you represent. And then there's already a set that you've portrayed to begin with, an icebreaker, and then you can move forward to actually doing some great work together. So that was my example of how my network helped me. Another example would be when I was applying for my job in GE. I had never known anybody in GE before, apart from I met them in a careers fair. So I reached out to people on LinkedIn just to ask, what is the job like? What do you do? I'm interested and I'm applying. And you'd be surprised in how much people out there really want to help you. So the Edisons which is the job I applied for, people got back to me explaining their kind of work, their values, day-to-day life, which helped me make my decision and stand strongly. And when I came into workplace, I was working with the same people, and that is how networking on LinkedIn helped me. Any examples from the audience?
Yeah, sure. I can share one. So I did an internship at the current workplace at GE, and just by building connections with my team back then and keeping in contact with my manager when I was in my final year at uni, I've now come back, and now that we've started searching for our new roles and our new rotations, just being able to have that extra point of contact has been extremely useful, as now she's been able to potentially help me out with one of them. And if that doesn't work out, then I know that she can refer me to other people who can potentially have an opportunity that I'd be interested in pursuing based on my interests.
Amazing. So you kept in touch with that network and embraced it, and that's potentially landed you into a new rotation, and if not that, even more pool of opportunities. And if anything, like a little bit of backbone, right? You can lean on to someone who's senior to you, who can act as a mentor. So that's a great example, Chirag. Thank you. Anyone else?
So I did an internship at GE as well, and in my first month or so, I was so quiet. I just kind of come in, get on with my work. I'd chit chat with people at lunch, but I was so quiet. I don't even know why, because it's not like I was extremely quiet at home. I just was just super worried I'm gonna mess up something or something along those lines. I was actually coming from the restroom when I met this really lovely lady who I had no idea was the HR director of another GE company that was in our building called Fieldcore. And she was so nice, and she noticed that my name was Zimbabwean and she was from Zimbabwe as well, and we just started chatting, and we were oh my goodness, really miss Zimbabwe. And I was just oh my goodness, this is really cool. But just from her kind of chatting to her on and off, whenever I'd see her about the work that I was doing, she told her manager about me, and her manager kind of was keeping conversation with my manager about what the project that I was doing, and thought that I was doing a good job, and ended up getting me to shadow him and inviting me to a boot camp for their leaders when they kicked off the company, because it was a startup, a GE startup, and when they kicked off the company, they invited me to their leadership boot camp. So I went to Poland for a week, and it was just such an incredible time for me to meet other leaders, and it also really helped with just boosting my confidence and talking to random people. And I still talk to her now, even though my internship was 2 or 3 years ago. I'm actually going to meet up with her next week for a walk. So yeah, so it I mean using stuff like LinkedIn, and when you get the opportunity to have a chat with someone, just stopping and talking to them. And also another thing that we bonded over was our faith, so that was also another thing. So it's just you can just chat to someone, and you never know, you might get a really good friendship out of it, which I've gotten from just me and Annalise talking.
Absolutely. No, that's such a wonderful example, and just it's amazing how just a conversation walking out of a restroom landed you to going to Poland, and I think something very key that you that's pretty cool. I don't think I've ever walked out of a restaurant hoping to go to Poland. I wish, but But another very key point that you said is because you brought yourself to in the conversation in the workplace about your faith and your personality, you bonded with someone on a common ground with similar interests than yours, and it gave them sort of space environment to know each other more. So that's, you know, it shows the value of bringing yourself into your workplace or wherever you go. So that's such a great example. Thank you for that.
Thanks, Anya.
Would anybody else like to share any other example of how they reached like the moon by just walking out of a restroom? It's fantastic.
I have a kind of similar example. Work sent me on a training course, and when I got there, we weren't the only ones doing a training course, so we were there for a training course called ALJ, but there was also different companies doing different training. So there was a bank, the site was a G site, but there was a bank there, just different people. Naturally, I don't just approach strangers to talk to them. I'm quite introverted. So networking doesn't come that easy for me. And I remember it was because we were all sleeping in this site at around midnight. I just thought I need to go to the kitchen because I want a hot drink. And then I got to the kitchen and found 3 people sat on the table. They looked fairly senior. I don't know these people, so let me just get my hot drink and leave as quick as I can. And then one of them said, "Oh, why don't you sit down and have your tea with us?" Because they were all having something. Yeah, so I sat down and we started talking. They were all from American sites, and one of them said, "Oh, so you know the training you're here for, what is it about? What's your daily job?" And I remember on that day of the training, there was a big emphasis on finding a mentor who will guide your career, like your professional career. And we just started talking, and one of the men said, oh, he was the site lead of the Cincinnati site, and he did know somebody who is in my field who was just moved to Cheltenham. So why don't I get you in contact with them? And maybe that's a starting point for a mentor. And, you know, I just left my room at midnight to go and have tea, but just a conversation, which I would probably not have had there been more people, kind of led to me now having a mentor. So yeah.
That's fantastic how tea led you to a new mentor, and you didn't even meet that person. You met someone who knew them. So
yeah,
amazing. It's just the power of networking and where it gets you. Another example that I have is a few years ago, I went to a random event of women in engineering that was sent by my university. And in that event, I didn't speak to many people outside my university. I spoke to one person, which was a very interesting conversation. And after that, from that network, from literally that event in the evening, I got 2 things out. I was sat in a dinner table expressing my interest in engineering and passion in engineering. Turned out the person sat next to me was the recruiter of a systems engineering company that landed me into an internship. So literally via dinner, whilst I was eating a delicious dinner and dessert, that helped me get an internship. And secondly, the other person who I spoke to who wasn't from my university turned out to be Manjusha. And 3 years later, it turns out we are in the same cohort, doing the same job. Never met her after that day, never spoke to her ever after that day. But I think when we met, it took us 2 seconds to become friends because we already had that something to like start off with, and it was just a wonderful surprise and a great memory to look back to. So just speaking to people can land you into jobs and make great friends, and in case of Panache, take you to Poland. So and in case of Chirag, also get you a new rotation in an area of interest wherever you'd like to go. So that's the role that networking and personal branding plays. together. So what do you want? Why do you want a personal brand? It helps you build trust. It helps people build trust in your abilities, in your work, in you as a person. Initially, when you go into a workplace, they don't buy you they don't buy your skills. It takes years and years to develop skills, but they buy potential. So it helps build trust, be recognized. There's so many people out there. How do you stand out by yourself? And to build credibility. While building your personal brand, don't forget to be diligent, consistent, relevant, interesting. Bring things that you find interesting, not necessarily what other people. And like we've talked a lot about, and most importantly, yourself. There's a famous quote that says, "Everything you are comes from your choices." And a personal brand is not, if not shaped by you, will be formed by others. So you choose. Hopefully you find this interesting. Thank you so much for attending.